my slam time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my slam time. Gonna mess up your whole mind. This is my slam time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my slam time. Gonna mess up your whole mind.
Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyped to announce tonight's guest. We are back in PPW. I am speaking to the debut challenge king himself. It is the one, the only Mr. Nate Daniels. How are we doing, dude? You good?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
5 by 5. You know, the generic opening line. 5 by 5. Too blessed to be stressed. It is all good, dude. So, looking forward to this because, as I said, we're back in the PPW house. I've spoken to so many guys, of you guys from there kind of thing. It's starting to feel a bit like a second home. It's not just the PPW thing as well. It's it's EBW. I've spoken to numerous guys that kind of obviously made the transition years ago from one to the other. Because the one closed, the next one opened. So, guys, obviously, like Radu, Aiden, a few others as well that I've spoken to. So, but yeah, I'm excited just to kind of have a chat. And also, obviously, I know there's stuff as well that I talk to you about that I haven't really spoken to other people about, like the whole backyard kind of scene from back in the day. We've kind of talked about it, off camera kind of thing, where people were coming over from like London, Wales. You were going down south, kind of like Luton was the hotbed.
Yeah.
You sent me a clip, which I will, when we get around to talking about it, I'll clip over the episode so people could see a very young Mr. Daniels.
A very clean-shaven young Nate Daniels.
Looked awesome. I was just like, wow. PE, like look those schools out for summer or something.
I was like 18 then as well. I just didn't look very young.
Mate, I would have had you pegged at like 14 or 15 or something. That's crazy.
I was like 18, I think, then. When the clip, I think I was 18. Yeah, 18, 19 or something, I think, when I say that. This didn't come until I was like 24 or something. Like, I couldn't grow anything.
A late bloomer. So, we'll do the generic stuff in a little bit. But I mentioned it during the intro. I called you the king of the debut challenge. Anybody who watches, the PPW in-house shows on YouTube, the last full one that I got on was 29.
Yes.
That was yourself against Mr. Havana. So, again, talking off camera, I love that whole sort of debut kind of thing. Like I thought, it makes me think of you as like a gatekeeper. How did it come about? Is it literally just like you're the bar? These new guys, something to prove. Like, right, we've got to take on Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, I think it probably goes back to EBW when I used to train there, because a lot of guys, when they first started with us or training, it was always just they just got paired with me. It was always just like Jim McGuire, for example. Jim, we all know Jim. He came in and he had like a first training match. They put him with me, and then he had a debut on an EBW show. So he was in a tag match. It was paired with me again, and it was Mikey Van Riot kind of spoke to me and he went, "Oh, it's just a good spot to be in because a lot, it means they trust you to be in this kind of, the new guys go in the room with you." And I kind of bled over to PPW. So when I was training at PPW, I noticed a similar thing kind of happening a lot when Liam would be in training. He'd just go, there'd be some guys not that experienced who was just kind of coming up. And whenever we were like running spots together, he'd always go, that new guy with, new person, whoever, go with Nate. So I just kind of noticed it. And I was kind of like, well, this seems to be my role, that I seem to be the first kind of step for these people before they go on to do hopefully bigger and greater things. So I just kind of brought it up to Liam. I like alliteration in wrestling. So the Daniels debut challenge. I think it was I was going to call it something else, but I was like, Daniels debut is going to be in there because I like to me it rolled off the tongue.
Yeah.
I just did it originally. It was just to help a lot of new guys out. I always thought I'm not gonna, at this point in my career, I was kind of like, I'm not kind of going anywhere. This is probably what it's going to be for me. But if I can help anyone else kind of step up or get those first steps in there, I thought I'll gladly do it, and I thought, well, let's turn it into something because I was a heel. I said, well, let's just instead of me just pairing new guys, let's just do something we can do storyline wise that doesn't have to be stretched over multiple shows. It can just be you can come in, I can announce what it is, people get it right away. Someone's coming in, it's their first match, and they're taking on me, and the gimmick is I'm trying to take advantage of it. Of this person being new, but 9 times out of 10, off kayfabe wise, I'm generally surprised. Or this person actually is pretty good, so I may need to do something a bit underhanded to win. But yeah, the main role behind it was literally just, we can help you. How can I help the newer generation going into wrestling? So there's just a lot of guys, they're very young, it's their first matches, and to me it was always just a great idea to just do that. But I also kind of liked how we could, if we ever had anyone come into PPW, any big names. It technically would be their debut, so I could always kind of do that. I said that option's always there then as well. So if ever Lima says, "Hey, I want to pair you with this guy coming in," well, let's just do the Daniels debut challenge. It's this guy, could be a big name, but it's technically their debut at PPW. So there's extra things you can do with it as opposed to just always being new guys. You can still get experienced guys in there as well. So to me, it was always just there was always a lot of opportunities you could do with it, and it always gave me a place on the show as well. So.
Again, well, first of all, like you said, the Daniel's debut challenge or whatever, the DDC, that in itself is, very, it's the DDC. That's kind of like I say, it rolls off the tongue. You could, if you ever wanted to, you could get merch, you could do something with it. It's just the DDC. I love that idea. I can just imagine, obviously, he's been there for several months now, so it's not going to happen. But, if Will Cruz suddenly rocked up and then he just had his debut match at Pursuit, and I can imagine you just be calling somebody out for a debut match, and then Big Will comes out, and it's oh
yeah.
But that would have worked perfectly. But again, it works as well because you could if you keep, even if it's underhanded, if you've got to be sneaky about it because they've taken you by surprise, if you still get the win, because it's not going to hurt them, it's their debut.
Exactly.
You're getting this unbeaten streak going on.
Yeah, sometimes they beat me. I've lost a few, but
well, I'm saying
Angelo beat me on the last one.
You could go that route though, and it wouldn't do them any harm. It kind of gives you something as well. It's just I can imagine you down the line be I'm 10 matches unbeaten. Bring me Kemper, and it'd be no, actually no. You know what? We'll stick with the DDC.
Yeah, we'll stick with that. Yeah, no, it's always been a great. I always thought it was kind of a cool idea, and it's just to help people get used to being show ready as well. I've done a few shows before then as well. I'm still learning. I do these shows and I do these Daniel's debut challenge, and I'm still getting feedback on them from Liam and other people. I'm there to learn too, but it's just how I just guiding these newer guys coming in. And it's just they're going to be nervous, and I think I'm always a safe bet. Every time someone's kind of trained with me, they've always gone, I've felt really comfortable with working with Nate. And I don't think I'm too intimidating. I feel like I'm quite approachable. I'm quite a nice guy behind the scenes. On camera, obviously, I'm very mean and horrible, but generally behind the scenes, I'm quite a very nice guy. And I'll take anyone under my wing. I'll give feedback where I feel like I'm well enough to give it. And and I'm always happy to work with the newer guys. Every time I'm why don't you try this? Have you ever tried this before? No, but it's simple. Just do this, boom. And Lee Angelo's a great example. He didn't know you could do certain head scissors and hurricanranas. He did one training match with me, and I was like, I can pick you up and stuff. Let's just try these. You can do these. And he was and the next thing you know, he's popping out Frankensteiners in his matches. So it's always been great stuff like that. So I'm always I'm just always happy to help new guys. I know that's where I'm at right now. I know I'm not going to be world champions in multiple promotions, but if I can help new guys go on to do that, and I can always say someone who might win a world championship one day and go, hey, that guy's first match was against me. I feel that's kind of a nice, cool little trivia thing I can always have.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's kind of again, it's kind of making. I mentioned it earlier. It's kind of making me think about the whole Tyler Breeze thing in NXT. He was never going to be anything. But it's also kind of X-Pac. X-Pac had that kind of reputation where if somebody was new in the business or new in the company, they'd kind of put him in a match with X-Pac because it was basically if you can't have a good match with Sean, you don't belong here, kind of thing. That role is key, and it's pivotal. It's every company has that kind of a guy.
Yeah, and I'm happy to take on that role. I've always been happy to do it, and it just works, and it's a lot of fun to just work with these newer guys. Always good.
Good. Obviously, yeah, shout out to Mikey as well. You mentioned him earlier, obviously, EPW, Mr. Van Riot, or Mr. Rose. He's been on the show a couple of times, spoken to him. But yeah, EPW, like I say, that's another. I don't know, obviously, timeline wise, if he would have been there about that time or just after it. But several months ago, myself, Mr. Bulat, and Dino went over I want to say 2013 or 2014 EBW Rumble. That was just an absolute, like Dino was in basically. I think that's why we watched it.
I think I was in that one. I can't. I'm trying to get time. I've definitely been in a few EBW Rumbles, and I think I was one. I think I remember the one Dino was in. Or was he in a different? I think. Or was he in two? If he was only just in the one, then I think I was in that one as well.
It was Spider Boy was in there. Well, the Man Spider.
Yeah, I was in that one. I was in that one. Yeah.
It was just
that
like,
was
yeah,
a mess. I don't want to talk about it. It's a mess of a rumble. It was just, I don't know what was going through people's minds. I don't want to talk too much about the guy who ran it, but like when we was announced it was going to be, I think that was a 50-man rumble or something. Maybe less, maybe 40. I'm pushing it, but I've always kind of had this with myself. Whenever I've gone to shows and I see people do rumbles, I kind of have because you're not WWE and you don't have the star power in these returns. You should limit to about 20. I always say it should be 20. At least no more than 20 people is what should be in any indie shows, especially that kind of level of show as well. We were at where we were it's just a local promotion. You know what I mean? We're not gonna have Triple H make a surprise entrance or you know what I mean or anything like that. So just to make it 50, and we were struggling to come up with guys and keep it entertaining as well. Like it was an absolute mess. I think Matt Ledger won that one. Krieg, I think he went under. I think he won that one. Good. If anyone should have won it, should have been him. I'm glad he won it because he was great, and I'm glad at least someone came out of it on top and someone who looked good. And Krieg always did look great. But oh god, just the whole thing was a shambles, and just 50 people. You can't plan that stuff. Again, we're not WWE blessed. We have agents working on every little single bit. It was just, hey guys, it's the entrance, go for it. It was like, okay, we'll try, and it just was that.
I love the fact though, it's like it's admitted, some people pulled like double, triple, quadruple duty, just pulling stuff out of the box of gimmicks in the back and be like, right,
yeah,
let's
I
go.
was asked, and I went no. I think they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I just went no. I'm gonna do that. I knew what this was, and I was like, I'm gonna be part of this as little as I can be. I went in and did my spots. I think I got eliminated. I can't remember who eliminated me for the life of me. But yeah, I was like, I'll do my spots, and I got eliminated, and I just hung up backstage. I think it was with Alan Kay backstage for it at one point. And I think me and him like locked eyes. We were like both looking over the curtain. He was like one side of the building, and I was at the other. We locked eyes, and we both just went. Ugh. We just shook our heads like, what is going on?
I love it, but it's stuff like that, it's just funny to look back on. You just just like shake your head and just like, wow, stories to be told. Not many people kind of crazy stories. And it's
I think people were leaving during that as well. And we were just like, this needs to end because we're losing the crowd. Like people had to go. I think it was like 9 o'clock and it was still like halfway through. And it was like, people have jobs and school and stuff the next day. Let's get this over with.
It's like a 10-man elimination. Just one man comes in and starts throwing everybody. That's it. Done. 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we did some EB. We did it. I don't know if you talked about this one. We did the EBW Rumble. No, it was a superhero kind of theme Rumble. This would have been 2019, I think it would have been. No. Yeah, sorry, it might be 2019, 2018. I can't remember. It was whenever the Avengers came out, Endgame, because we kind of given it was superhero themed, and so it would be 2018. And yeah, that one was a lot more fun. We had one guy come out, a guy called Dan Bryden. He's an online coach, I think now. If anyone's looking for a good coach, he's a great guy to ask. But he came out as Thanos, and he had the Infinity Gauntlet, and the ring was full of so many guys. I think there was like, let's just say for argument's there was like 8 guys in the ring. He came out and he had the gauntlet, and he snapped his fingers, and 4 guys that jumped out the ring. Just a quick scatter.
That's genius.
That was great. I was Captain America at that Rumble. That's the one I did win. I won the championship on that one. That was a good one. But that was a lot more fun, and that was a lot more kind of thought out. People were like, okay, we've got a superhero gimmicks. There's only so many of us. what are the spots, and it was just a lot better planned than that 50-man one.
To be fair, yeah, we just kind of went into it with a bit of preparation, some ideas. It's like, right, here we go.
But that
'Cause,
was my favourite, because just snapped and people just jumped out of the ring and the crowd just laughing. It's like, what's going on?
That's genius. Love it. So yeah, you know, you had that. But so we're kind of going backwards. Let's the generic question then. You know, we've talked about you being, you know, a wee little whippersnapper at the age of 18, taking on somebody who we'll mention at some point. But yeah, man, what made you kind of take those initial steps? What made you sort of be like, right, okay, let's do this. Let's do some wrestling.
It was such an interesting one, because I never ever. I was like 15 or 16 when I first started to actually wrestle, kind of training my own way. But I never thought it was something I could do. You know, it just never at the time. We're going back. People don't realize I'm nearly 34 years old. I've been around for a long time. So we're going back when I was 16. So it's about 2007. So there wasn't much of a scene really in British wrestling at the time. It was before this was all before the big boom we had. So there was never, and anything that was about seemed to always be down south. There was never, as far as I knew, there was never anything up north, and I didn't know of any training schools at the time. So it never seemed something that was doable. So I never ever thought about it. I always thought I like wrestling, I watch wrestling, but I never thought about doing it. And I don't know why. I can't fully remember what I was doing, but I was just on the internet one day, and I think I was just downloading wrestling videos. I think I was finding like TNA and stuff, and I was kind of like, oh, I've not seen this before. What's this? Like on just on certain websites, just probably infecting the family computer, like download this file and watch this match, download this file. And I was just watching wrestling matches, and I came across, and it was a random file, and it was like, oh, wrestling here or something. I think it was America still, and I downloaded it. And it was just two guys like just wrestling in their backyard, but the moves were somewhat kind of crisp, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe this is something I could. I didn't know I could just do it in my backyard. Why did I just not do that? Never thought. I always thought backyard wrestling was like, you know, weapons and stuff like that. So I was never interested in me, because there's definitely still some of that, but that's all I ever knew about your wrestling was it's just violence, like really hardcore. And I've never really been a fan of that. But this was guys actually just like, they had a somewhat makeshift ring, and they were doing just wrestling moves. So it was backyard wrestling, but they weren't trying to kill each other. They were hitting kind of as clean as they could be wrestling moves. And I was kind of like, oh, I didn't think I could do this. I wonder if there's anything like this in England. So then I Googled like British backyard wrestling, and I found what's the legendary within the backyard community, the UK BYW forum, so UK Backyard Wrestling Forum at the time. And I went into it, I created an account, logged into it, had a look, and there was just this whole community that I just didn't know existed. And these guys were meeting up I think at the time they just met up in Newcastle. It had guys like Steve Farrell was there, and who's now wrestling in DOA Wrestling. So give him a look if anyone's running. Who else was there? A guy called Ashley Dunn was just wrestling there. He still wrestles around the British scene. If you give him a look, Ashley Dunn's about. And just a few other guys as well who aren't so much wrestling anymore, but they were meeting in this like gym, and they had these matches down in Newcastle, and they were putting on shows for one another, and they were really good. Some of these guys were really good, and I was like, oh, you wouldn't know they weren't professional. They were just smashing out these amazing moves. And then so I was like, oh, this is something I can do without worrying about going to a school, which I probably should have done. But at the time, I was kind of like, this is as close as I'm going to get. Don't worry about training. So I was on the forum instantly, and I was like then asking questions. Hey, what do people do? How do you get started on this? And with the forum, when you're a new guy on that forum, it was very kind of hard to break in, because it was still kind of this close community. So when you're a new guy, they were very much kind of like, who are you? And you're not welcome here, almost kind of attitude. But one or two people would kind of help, and Ashley Dunn being one of them. I always remember him. I used to think he was great. I used to see Ashley wrestle on the videos that were getting sent out on the forum. I idolized Ashley, and he would always just comment on the videos that we sent. So me and my friends then started just wrestling in our backyards, and we just tried it. Hey, let's just try and wrestle matches, and let's just do this. And then he was always commenting saying, here's some feedback, here's what you can do, work on this, work on that. And that's kind of how I eventually learned. And then one day we were doing the wrestling moves in my front yard, and some guys had to be walking past, and I noticed he was watching us, and he's like, oh, are you wrestling? We were like, yeah, we're trying, kind of thing. We're just doing whatever. And he goes, oh, I am. I don't know how legit this story guys was, but he said he was from Future Shock. No one seems to know him from Future Shock. I don't even know if Future Shock was around at the time. It must have been, because he said the name. but he lived just up the road, and he off on my street, and he was like, "Oh, I could actually teach you some things, blah blah." And he was a friend of a mutual friend, so he wasn't this like creepy guy. He was someone who a friend also knew. But we were a bit like, and he was kind of like, oh, well, you know, literally 3 doors down from my house, I think he's where he hung out anyway, where he lived. And he was like, I've got training mats, whatever. Come round and I'll teach you some bumps. So we all kind of went together. And he laid out a few mats in the garage. And he then just showed us how to back bump, front bump, all that kind of stuff. How to lock up. So we actually did learn, I learned like the very minimum basics from him. And then it kind of then spawned from there. So then we created our own kind of Backyard Wrestling Federation. Again, they're on my YouTube channel still, some of the videos. We call it Doncaster Wrestling Federation, so the DWF. And we used to put on weekly shows, and I'd film them, and I'd try and edit them. I'd enter them on Windows Movie Maker at the time, like into little musical clips each match. And that's kind of how it grew. And then, yeah, so that was how I started learning. So again, first lesson of wrestling was in a garage. So when people come to PPW and they have a wrestling ring and they have Liam teaching them, I am like, wish I had this. This has been much better than me just taking a few bumps in like someone's garage. I don't even know. Don't do that for anyone asking. If that guy comes after the wrestling, don't do it. I don't know what I was thinking. But I learned some things. Like, he definitely knew some stuff, because the bumps that he taught me how to do some bumps is how I know they are done. Now I've learned definitely a lot more. I know he definitely was teaching me the correct stuff. So he wasn't completely just a loon who thought he could teach me. He did know some things, and he must have done something at Future Shock, because it was just weird that he name dropped him.
Yeah.
And I think Future Shock must have just been starting then, because again, this has been 2007, 2008 time, I think. I don't know how long they've been around.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been pre-Dave Rain days, probably, I would have thought. So,
It must have been a while ago. But through that, obviously, again, so with these videos, I was then posting them on the Backyard Wrestling Forum. And they were getting watched. We were probably getting torn to shreds by some of these guys. Like, what on earth are you guys doing? This is rubbish. We've got a lot of negative stuff. 1 or 2 guys will try and be helpful, but they've probably seen people come and go a lot through this. They probably just thought we were another group of guys who were going to turn up and go. And granted, some of my friends did lose interest. I was the only one who was really interested, and the others were kind of like, meh, we'll do it for a bit of a laugh. But none of them like watched WWE or kept up to date or anything like that. And I was obsessed. And I was like, I need to watch Raw. I watched the highlights on YouTube. TNA was just an online show back then. So when TNA came out every Thursday, I was like, right, Thursday's now time to download and watch TNA. And obviously, like, yeah, guys like AJ and Chris Daniels just kind of making a name for themselves back then. So I was the one who was really obsessed. So they all kind of fizzled out very quickly in terms of like doing the wrestling moves and like even learning. Whereas I still wanted to do this. And I was kind of like, how can I get further into this? And so I messaged someone on the forum, again, a guy by the name of Steve Farrell. He ran a company called, well, I say a company, a Backyard Wrestling Federation called NAW, who, odd enough, Will Ospreay name dropped them on a promo on AEW the other week or something, and Steve Farrell, which was really, really weird for someone like us, seeing that name drop from Will. We'll go into Will, we'll come up at some point, because I had quite a history with him. But yeah, and so I messaged Steve Farrell on the forum, and I was like, hey, I'd love to come down to one of these shows and meet people. But it was in Luton, and it seemed just so far away. And I was only 16 at the time, and like traveling, meeting a group of guys who I'd never met before, who I just knew from online, was kind of a bit like, it's a dangerous thing. And if I go, I'd have to stay the night as well. And a lot of guys did that anyway. They stayed in hotels and travel lodges, but as a young lad, it was very kind of nerve-wracking for me. But fortunately, there was, again, I can't tell what year this was, but I think this might be 2009. A guy called Corey Vallo Carver, who runs a wrestling promotion called RWL, who used to, I don't know if they're still going. He was like, hey, I'm doing this event in Manchester. I've got this ring, everything's sorted, and can people say who want to come? And we'll go. And I was kind of like, oh, that's a lot closer. And a lot of the guys who I were watching at the time on videos would go into that show. And I was like, oh, that. And then I thought, I'll see if I can get a friend to come with me. But at least I can go and I can come back the same day. And even if no one's there, it's not like I can't just then come back home. I'm not stranded, you know. I'm in Doncaster to Manchester. It's not that out of it. I think it was Manchester. So yeah, literally, I got there and I met Steve Farrell for the first time. So we kind of introduced ourselves. We watched that. I did Who else was there? I think the guy called Dave Williams was there first time. The Wild Boar, Mike Hitchman, who you might know. He's WWE and stuff. He was there. First time I met him. And I think Flash Morgan Webster was there too, and I met him for the first time at that show. I think he was there too. So it was just like this random, again, all these guys, and I just met them all for the first time, introduced myself. I wrestled a match in front of them, and bear in mind, I was awful. I was so bad. I got booked to wrestle a match, and I wrestled this guy called Lewis O'Brien, who again is oddly enough still wrestling. But it was just a terrible match, and I did it, and I was like, everything was kind of clean, but there was no structural psychology to this match, if you know what I mean. It was very much like lock up, international, hip toss, a body slam, a suplex, and then a pin, and what's your finish? I think my finish at the time was like a twist of fate, and I was like, that's going to be the finish. I'll just hit that move, 1, 2, 3. At the time, I was kind of like, oh, maybe that was okay, but I didn't really know how. I watched it back, it was like awful. But everyone there, I remember, like, I finished it, and there should be this kind of like, again, this community, because I wrestled in front of everyone. No one came up to me and was like, that was shit, that was awful. Like, you might get sometimes at British shows, you go back and the promoter might then lay you a new one, or, I mean, it rarely happens, or, they said that wasn't what they wanted. Everyone just came up and just shook your hand and just went, well done, well done, well done, well done. It was all really nice stuff. And I was like, oh, that was, even I kind of came out like, oh, but everyone seemed to be really polite and nice. And I was kind of worried they were just going to tear me to shreds, because that's what I thought normally happens. But everyone was just super nice. That was really kind of cool. And then from there, that's kind of then my entry into the backyard wrestling scene. So because I then met Steve, when I first went down to NAW, I had someone I knew, and I kind of bonded quite well with him. So he used to live in Newcastle, so he even went further than me. But his train would always pass Doncaster, so I'd always meet him on the train, go down with him, and then we'd do NAW events. Which I mean, you might be able to still find on YouTube if people look for it. If you search Backyard Wrestling or NAW, National Alliance Wrestling, I think they were called. There's probably still some videos on there. Not much of me. I didn't wrestle a lot there. I was very much I started as a commentator there, and then I evolved into this kind of like authority figure. I was called the Chief of Staff, Nathan Elliott, and that became my nickname in wrestling. There, they even called me the Chief, and that stuck. Even outside of wrestling, they just go, Chief, what you doing? Chief this, Chief that. I got a lot of it. But yeah, it was it just got me into this whole scene. So that's kind of why I learned. And through, like, I guess osmosis, because I didn't wrestle a lot, but I was seeing these guys wrestle. Some who were training to be professional still. Again, I think Pac, oddly enough, had just kind of left that scene. A few of the guys knew who Pac was, and he just kind of left the backyard scene, was making a name for himself in the pro scene. I think just as I came in, I think I just kind of missed him, so I never met him personally. But he was all part of that, and a lot of the guys knew him because, again, he's a Geordie. So, like, Steve Fowler was from Newcastle, Pat, they knew each other, and a few other guys from Newcastle as well. So yeah, there was kind of interesting. So it was just kind of see how many talent was kind of getting produced. But through watching them, I kind of learned. You could learn some things just by watching, and every now and then people would show me different things. And yeah, that was kind of interesting. Again, I never thought about going pro. This was just what I thought. This is what the British scene was. There wasn't a pro scene, and if there was, it didn't seem very appealing at the time. It was just kind of, why would I want to do that when I can do this? And we're having a lot more fun, because it wasn't just a wrestling event. We'd meet up on the weekends, we'd wrestle, then we'd go out for meals and drinks, and just have a great laugh with all these guys from different parts of the country. But through them, I was learning to wrestle. I did wrestle a few matches there. I wrestled mainly under a mask as well. I don't have the mask anymore. I think I gave it away to someone. But I wrestled as a guy called Antonio Bravos, was my gimmick, because I couldn't do Nathan Elliott because I was an authority figure. So the mask was a cover to be someone else. So I got to wrestle a few matches there. I think I wrestled. Not many people making wrestling right now, but yeah, just the other things like that. But again, that was kind of my way into it, and the pro scene still never came up because it just wasn't anything there at the time. It was weird. Yeah, I don't know where to go from that, but that was my entry into the backyard scene anyway.
Oh, dude, that's like, so say, and obviously, yeah, I've seen some of the footage, and it's really surreal to go back and sort of watch. Obviously, you mentioned, Will Ospreay cutting that promo on AEW, sort of name dropping kind of thing. Obviously, one of the clips I've seen, was the Chief of State versus Ace Payne You know, it was just like a school gym, mats on the floor over half of it. I love the fact that literally just onto one side of the mat you had like a little 3-step thing just to
Yeah.
do the high steps. You know,
Yeah.
obviously there's no ropes. You've just got these 3 steps next to the mats. So if you want to jump off something, there you go. Here's 3 steps.
Yeah. And guys like Will could still knock out shooting star presses and stuff off that as well. It used to be a gym horse. If you go like earlier than that, we used to have a gym horse. That's what people jumped off of. I don't know I don't know what happened to the gym horse. We might have broken it or wrecked it a few times. Some of the guys did some crazy stuff, and the gym horse was used as a weapon a lot as well. So like people get Irish whipped into it and they get knocked over and stuff. We probably shouldn't have been doing that, but the 3 steps took over essentially. But yeah, like you said, there was no ropes. That's what if you got whipped, you would just kind of stop, turn around, and run backwards. You just did what you could. You had that suspension of disbelief. Yeah, you literally run, turn around, run back, and you do the move or whatever the spot was. And if enough people were there, we all kind of knew that was what the thing was anyway. That we just kind of you just let it go over your head and just like don't worry about it kind of thing. Every now and then we would have a ring. We were fortunate enough even though we were an underground backyard wrestling company, we at times did do some like pro shows. We did one up in Newcastle. And again, we were called NAW. The show we did was Collision. So this is before AEW took that name. We were NAW Collision were the shows we did, and we did one up in Newcastle. And we did a pro show. We got a ring, and we had some guys on that show, and it just it was great. I think I filmed at the time. Again, I was never really a staple of wrestling for that company, but I was always kind of there, like a commentator or an on-screen figure. But I remember filming it. But yeah, the guys who wrestled on the show, they killed it. We got invited back, so we did a few shows in a wrestling ring. But the general thing was just some gym mats on the floor, and those mats were awful. I mean, at the time, I think we got used to them, but I mean, the video I've always showing you, I take a burning hammer from Will Ospreay. His idea, not mine. But those mats that were unforgiving, and I did very little on them. Some of the guys who wrestled on quite regularly, and they would do some amazing spots and a lot of like crazy bumps. I don't know how they did it. I did it very sparingly, and I still was like, I'm not doing this full time. I'll tell you that much.
I love this bit in that match where he lays you down in front of the 3 steps, climbs up, teases the high spot, then just jumps down, picks you up, does another move on you, slams you back down again. And it just like repeats like 3 times, constantly teasing that high spot, then like back down again. It's like,
yeah.
Hey, you're just laid there like, oh,
Yeah, he killed me. He was so safe though, to be fair. Will was always like, well, we planned that because this was a feud as well. This has been a feud that's been going on for a while between me and him. I don't know what the origin was, but it was kind of like, oh, we're just going to put you and Will in a storyline. It was just the classic authority figure versus the face character, and it just worked. So I was like, oh, we're going to do it with Will. And that was basically the culmination of it all, though. Eventually I challenged him to a match. And then after, so it was just a chance for him to beat the crap out of me. Everyone happy I'm getting my comeuppance. And we were like, okay, well, because I don't wrestle that much, people don't expect big spots out of me. What can we do to, that's going to make people go, whoa, he just took that crazy bump? Because people would probably didn't think I was going to take anything nuts. And Will said, well, I can give you a burning hammer. And I was like, I don't know if I even knew what the move was at the time. I said, can you explain what it is? And he went, oh, I'll get you up this way, upside down. Oh, no, I didn't know what it was because in the feud, I think he tried to do it on someone. And I stopped him, and I was like, oh, so I knew what it was. But he went, oh, I'm going to do this way. And I was kind of like, okay, well, what do I do? How do I make sure I don't die on this? And he's like, oh, put your hands up and I'll take care of you kind of thing. Are you sure? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. And I said, I'll get ready for it. He goes, just take your chin. So when he picks me up, I'm just kind of like, my chin's already tucked. I'm just ready for this. God, am I going to die? What's going to happen? And he gets me. It makes a hell of a noise. I was absolutely fine. He never hurt me at all. Even like the kicks and strikes he gives me, safe as, like even as young as Will was back then, still a very safe wrestler, but they look brutal. And that burning hammer just boom, you hear the thud. And I remember when I landed it and I took the move, I remember laying there going, because I think that's my last move I take as well in the match. And I was just like, oh, I'm okay. And everyone's going, everyone's reacting. I was kind of like, okay, I'm good. People reacting, that like clearly looked good. I can just lay here now to the end of the match. And I still
Played
won
it.
that match. I still won, despite the Billy Hammer.
Yeah.
I still won the match.
That's just awesome. Please tell me as well, though, that you have repeatedly rubbed this in Mr. Marshall Warner's face.
Oh,
You
you
know,
know
the
what? I
little
don't think it's ever come up with Mr. Marshall Warner. I always joke. There's his next Will Ospreay and stuff, and I do joke about how he looks like every indie wrestler back in 2009 or something, because the gear that he wears is like the striped stuff. And I think if you go back on the wrestling scene back then, everyone had those ties, the same like cut ties. And I do look at him. I think you should be back in 2008, buddy. That's where the indie scene was. That's what you look like.
just like, yeah, wait, what? Oh, yeah, 2008 called it once its ring gear back.
What's his ring gear back, buddy? Just get on it. But yeah, I think because I don't know what company made that gear, but like everyone just seemed to have it, and I just don't know why. But it was there, and it looked good. And when I first saw that gear, I remember like, again, this is coming now. It's just like whatever. We looked at it, and you go, oh, that looks cool. And the next guy had it, and the next guy had it, and the next guy had it, and I was like, oh, never mind. Yeah, it just floated.
Kind of dilutes the awesomeness of it all.
Yeah, that company that made it, that must have made it bank, because everyone had it. Every new like indie guy had that gear. And that's exactly what Marshall Warner seems to look like right now. I've never really rubbed in his face that I've took on Will Ospreay and I've beaten Will Ospreay. I did, but anyone who knows me, I do drop it quite a lot. Like I'm known to be a bit of a name dropper.
Oh,
I will just mention every now and then off the cuff, like, oh yeah, I knew this. And I mean, Will Ospreay ran he still kind of does, I think. He ran a Fed down south, got RCWA as well, Raynham Championship Wrestling Alliance. If I remember that off the top of my head. And that was, again, that started in Will's backyard. It was his group of friends. And because Will had a ring in his backyard, so he would put on shows there. But when NAW shut down, I think a year later, I got a message from Steve Farrell again, and he was like, hey, do you want to come down to RCWA and wrestle? And this would be wrestling more regular. I was kind of like, I don't know, because when I've done a few RCWA shows before, the organization's not great and they can finish really late. So they'll be wrestling until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Because in between matches, there'd be nothing happening. People still be planning, and then you get another match. You watch the match, everything stops. People aren't wrestlers still planning. And again, it was never a constant match after match after match. So it was very much I was kind of much like, I don't know, because I have to then come back up north, going all the way down to Essex, to get back up, but finish that late. I'm not sure I'm going to be up for that. But Steve was like, oh, it's all changed. Because he kind of like took over the organization. I was like, it's all changed, and the organization's going to be a lot better now. We do finish on time, because we have to be out at a certain time, because it was a youth centre that we wrestled in. And I think it was Will's mum who owned the youth centre. And we had to, and so like we just like everyone chipped in £1 that would pay her for the time we would use it, which is great for us, because we had a place to wrestle. We had a ring, because we had Will's ring. That was always in a storage container just outside the youth centre. So we'd set it up every Sunday, then put it down, just put it in the storage can, come back in another 2 weeks, do the same, put on a few shows, film them, record them, put them on Vimeo. I think was the film. That still is a thing. I think Vimeo was the video service at the time. So that kind of came a thing. So then I started going down south to Essex, and I started wrestling there. I became a tag team champion there. I think I teamed with a guy called Tim Lee, who, again, I think he's still wrestling. If anyone such as Tim Lee, he's a great guy. Being him with tag team champions in RCWA. And RCWA, again, it formed into this, it's formed now into a legit company. And they are still, I think they're still pretty much doing shows today. They have guys like Ash Draven there. I think Will comes back every now and then. I could be wrong, because obviously AEW, he might be very busy now. But I know he still has something to do with it, as far as I know. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's just amazing to see like these guys who start off obviously in the backyard scene, just seeing it grow. So like, we got these like legit companies, and seeing these guys going to be legit wrestlers. I always thought, because again, there was nothing. All this was all still down south. Nothing was up north. So when I was not going to these shows, and because it was quite a big travel for me, I didn't go as regular as I would like to. So I still wasn't like training. I wasn't worried about my fitness or anything at the time, just because there was just nothing up here. And I always thought, well, when this factory shuts down, or when I get bored of this will be it. So don't worry about it. Just keep doing it. But yeah, so RCWA became a thing though. That was great. Those videos are on Vimeo still. I think I found 1 or 2. They're on my YouTube channel, 1 or 2 matches as well still. I've never taken them down. I got to wrestle Will again there. Oddly enough, we wrestled in a tag team match. Again, this was me and Tim Lee versus Will Ospreay. I think he wrestled as Ace Payne back then still. He might not like me saying that name. I don't mean to put that behind him. He may never watch this. It's fine. He's not going to watch this.
Oh, dude.
Sorry. But him and Sam Jude, I remember like planning that match though. This was like a tag match, and the gimmick was Will was the tag team champion at the time, and he was like challenged because I gave him like the belt almost, and he was like repaying the favor, but still kind of challenging me. And he was talking about our history because me and him started this like major feud that we had back in NAW, where he obviously, I don't know if you watched the video, he tries to shank me. This is the best word to use without making fun. Well, it was all planned. It was all. I just want to say, Will's not a bad guy. He didn't actually try to do that. Was all scripted. Was all a scripted thing. Just trying to tell a story. But that was all kind of story history that we had, me and him. So we did this tag match. I remember. I always tell people now. This was Will's planning the match with him. He seemed to have the whole thing in his mind already, and he would go through the spots, and he'd be so excited. Then we do this, and then you go in and you kick me here, and blah, blah, and he'd like 1,000 miles per hour, but he'd have everything ordered. And you get to a point, and then we do this, and he'd stop for a second and go, and then we do that, and we do this, and he'd have the whole thing just gone. It's just amazing just how quick he could do it and how excited he was as well, like planning this match. Like, it was like guys like who just, Will was now at this time as well making a name, like kind of breaking into the British indie scene, but we're still doing these backyard shows. And just seeing how excited he was. And I imagine that still goes on now, that when he plans matches, he plans them obviously probably a lot better as well, because as you can tell, he's freaking amazing now. But even back then, Will was obviously great, but like he was just so excited to plan matches, and then doing those matches with him. It's just cool to have that kind of staple. And again, I'm a bit of a name dropper, but I always kind of like that. The best wrestler in the world, I've been in the ring with at least twice. I've beaten him once.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I just mentioned it to everyone listening. Well, I used to do this, and people don't realize how long I've been around in the scene as well, because I obviously eventually kind of made myself into the British wrestling scene myself, but people don't realize how long I've been a part of it, that they don't realize, oh, how do you know this guy? I know this guy. I know this guy. Like, how do you know him? I was like, oh, they came into the backyard scene. I met him there, and then they've gone on. Or because I've been in the scene for so long, I've met at training schools. Like, oh yeah, I knew him from training. They came in. I remember seeing them for their first lesson. Now they're killing it on the indie scene. Out on Name Drop again, but Ivy is another one. I wasn't there for her first lesson, but I was there for her very first match and her debut, and watched her do that. She's gone to do incredible things. She's awesome. Adam Bolt is another one. I used to teach him a few things, and I remember his first match. Like, he wrestled and he was in this scramble tag match, and he could do a moonsault off the top rope. And I said to him before he went out, I said, "Look, this is a match. There's like 10 guys in this match, but you need to stand out." And I said to him, I think he was the first one to be eliminated as well. Like, his team was the first two out. I said, "Get on that top rope and do that top rope moonsault." I said, "No one will talk about anything else in that match apart from that. Make sure you go up top and do that. That's why you don't do anything else. Do that move, because no one else in the ring can do it. No one else on the show can do that. Do it." And he went out. He was literally in the ring for like 2 minutes. Went to the top. He did the moonsault, did the dive. He got eliminated. He came out, and but that was what he needs to do. And obviously now Adam's gone on to do incredible things as well. It's just awesome. And it's mad now that I look at them too, like Ivy and Adam. Like, people I've seen kind of start, and I go to them for advice now. Like, it's weird how the tables have turned. But it's also like, it's great. Like, I have no problem taking their advice. I'm never like, oh no, I've been in longer than you. I'll take anyone's advice. They're clearly doing something more than they're on shows. They're killing it. They're getting this audience. They have a fan base. Why wouldn't I listen to them? I can only show them so much. And again, Adam more than Ivy. Ivy just did everything herself. She's always amazingly talented. Adam had showed a few things, but then again, he's just like took to like a fish like water. Once he got some proper guidance, I never thought EBW could give anyone really kind of real guidance. I think once Adam was able to be creative and on by himself, that when EBW shut down, Adam got to be right. I don't have to do this stuff anymore like you're getting told to do. I'm going to make my own character, which he's done, and just finally had some creative freedom. And he took that ball and went with it. And now he's killing it. And like I say, it's just cool to see guys like that come on. I'll keep name dropping people, but William Valor is another one. Pineapple on his head. But he came in. I remember like him. I think I don't know if it was his first lesson or something. I was there for it, but I remember him starting and saying hello to him and stuff like that, and teaching him a few things. Obviously, then again, he's gone to kill it. He did 1 or 2 matches at EBW, but not a lot. It shut down. PPW came along, and PPW has been a blessing for everyone. It's so mad, like how much people have been able to take advantage of that. And Valor is a great example. I think like he had an idea of a character, went in, he's learned so much, and I got to wrestle him just recently at Gauntlet Wrestling. And that was really kind of cool for both of us. We kind of like were so excited that we learned we were booked against him. And I thought, oh, it's crazy that I was there when you first started and we've never wrestled a match. Even at training, we've never had a match against each other. So we were both really excited for it. And like we did the match. It was great fun. Yeah, and it's just kind of cool, man. I've been around for so long. People don't realize. And just seeing people go on to great things. And I think the most recent example is obviously Leon Slater, as we all know. But I think Leon, I hate him so much because he's so young, and every time I talk to him, he reminds me how young he is. But then he's also like he's on TNA. I'm like, and he's teaching me. Like again, I have no problem taking advice from someone like Leon. Again, he's not been around as long as I have, but of course Leon clearly knows more than I do because he's on national TV. So again, I take every advice he gives me. I'd be a fool not to. It's just mad seeing people like that. But Leon, he's just so young. It does my head in how young he is. But so talented as well. It's just, I don't know if you get it as well, but I talked to the people like, I think it was most recently I was at PPW training, and we were talking about Rock and Austin WrestleMania 17. And it came up in conversation. I think me and Liam Slater were talking about it, and Hardman Dan chirps up and goes, "What year was this?" And I go, "Oh, it was 2001. And he went, "Oh, it's mad to think that I wasn't even born, yet I still know about this match." And I went, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "I wasn't even born." I was 10 years old when this match happened, and this was a big deal. And like, you were either Rock or you were Austin. And I was like, can't believe it. And I was like, oh, I couldn't even watch Raw or SmackDown. I had to watch Sunday Night Heat on Channel 4. Like, that was my thing growing up.
Basically, we had Too Cool or Raven or freaking Simon Dean. Or, they were the main.
You got Jericho on that show. You were like, "Oh, Jericho's on Heat tonight," or Benoit. I think I want to say, but Benoit. I think one time was on Heat. I remember losing my mind that Benoit was on Heat. Insane. Like WCW was on Channel 5.
Yeah.
As well. I don't know if you was me. That's like I became a huge fan of Booker T and Sting because of WCW. But I used to go to my mum's room and get the aerial on the TV. You used to plug the aerial in the back, and you have to like get it a certain way. So watching Channel 5, but with just a bit of a bad. The fizzle on it or something. Yeah, but like, this'll do. I can see what's happening. Now it's all coming on Netflix. Like you won't believe, it's nuts that these kids watch it and they go, "Oh yeah, just stream it."
Yeah, but no, yeah, I remember obviously Channel 4. That Rumble, the 2000 Rumble.
Yes.
Did the first pay-per-view on Channel 4.
That blew my mind. Yeah.
Mueller's boobies then caused it to be put on an hour late so that they could censor everything going forward.
Oh, the Big Red X as well. And didn't do anything.
It was Mae Young. Sorry, Mae Young's puppies, caused the censorship. But yeah, I was never a WCW guy. Even when it was on 5, I never watched it. The only thing I kind of got, I like Ready to Rumble. That was my first real. I used to watch WCW. I'm older than you, so I used to watch WCW circa 94, 95.
Yeah.
Like in the morning, when you had like the young Dustin Rhodes, you had Sting, you had the Z-Man, Brian Pillman, all those guys. But yeah, obviously we've gone back recently, started watching WCW, started watching the 97 stuff with JC, currently watching the 2000 stuff with Bobby Cash and DJ King. So a lot of that I've seen, but I've only seen it recently for the first time, some of it, and I'm just like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, that whole sort of era. But you mentioning, are you kind of seeing the excitement? Has Leon got that excitement that obviously Will had? Because it would have been around about the same age, obviously, like you was working with Will, was 18, 19, 20 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And are you kind of seeing similarities between? It seems like a really weird question. Apologies if I'm worded it wrong, but do you kind of see the similarities between Leon and Will at that age, kind of thing? Obviously, Leon is on national TV at that age. Will never was. So yeah, I'd say ahead of the curve.
Yeah, in terms of that, I mean, I think if there was such again, because the British team wasn't what it was when Will was kind of making his way into the British scene, it came obviously because he was a big header in progress and stuff like that. Leon, obviously now wrestling's everywhere, and you can, every company puts shows out and everything like that. So there's more eyes on people. So that's probably why Leon got noticed so quickly. I mean, rightfully so. In terms of like the excitement, yeah, I mean, like Leon's always a blast at training. Like when I first met him, and we were training together and planning matches, and he was very much like, even like we do a lot of PPW where you do a wrestling spot at the start of training. Liam goes through a wrestling spot, and we all kind of then do it together. And if I was ever next to Leon when I was doing it, he'd always come to me like, "Hey, when we do this, don't just do that. Do this instead. Makes it look better. Makes it look grander," kind of thing. He's already kind of thinking how to make this look better. And like thinking about how he can work it better with the guy he's next to. So there's instantly just always having that mindset ready. He's just like, we can don't just do this. Like, put your arm out, make it look grander, and do this, and then go for the move. And instead, don't just do what everyone else is doing. And he's like, just do this, do this, do this, and then he goes, I'm going to do this. And he might go, I'm going to jump, and when Leon jumps, he never freaking comes back down because like he's off. In terms of excitement, yeah, like I did like a training match with Leon. He always he's very happy to get things involved, and he was always happy to plan stuff. Training with him now, he's so complimentary of everyone. It's great to see that even already he's passing on knowledge to people when we're doing fundamentals, and he's really so encouraging of people as well. I just love it. I just love that he has this attitude of just he doesn't seem like anything's gone to his head, frankly. I don't think it ever will. But he's just like, I'm doing this already. I'm thinking, how can I help people? How can I make things look better? How can I make other people look better? Like instantly, it's just having that kind of amazing personality, that like taking already what he's learning and using it to help people at such a young age. Like you say, he doesn't even need to be doing that. But he's already like, oh no, I've done TNA and I did this match and I got told this and by this person, so I'm going to pass that knowledge on to you guys. And here's what I do. And he's like, and even like doing moves, he's like, I always give 110%. And he goes, and I know this person will too. But then if we both give 110%, then this move's going to be 200%, which means it's going to be 200% better. This kind of attitude he has. It's just always giving it his all. I've never had the pleasure of like being on a proper show with Leon and planning a proper match with him. So I don't know how he plans matches, but he's like, boom, 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 like Will used to be. But he obviously clearly has an enthusiasm for it. Yeah, I don't like. It's weird because people. I don't like trying to compare the two because like Will, unfortunately, gets a lot of people who are like, he's the next Will Ospreay, he's the next Will Ospreay, and I don't like. I like people to get out of that, and I'm sure people got that. Leon got that when he first started. I don't like kind of comparing him to Will because I'm like, he's not the next Will Ospreay. He's gonna be the first Leon Slater, and we have to get that kind of. And no offense to Marshall Warner, but he also needs to kind of get that as well to try and avoid being compared to Will Ospreay. It's very because Will is just that staple, and he's created that illusion, and you get it a lot. And like when you're as good as they are, and people do it with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Whenever someone would come in WWE and they'd be like, "Oh, he's checking on the authority, or he's doing this. Oh, this guy's the next Stone Cold. CM Punk almost got it. Randy Orton almost got it. People say he's the next Stone Cold, and it's like you don't want that. You want to be the wrong person. So it's kind of a hard thing. I don't like when Leon first came in. I'm sure a lot of people did say he was like, "Oh, Will Ospreay," and I just kind of like I don't want that. And even now, I don't like doing it. Even though he's faced Will, and he's met Will himself now and wrestled matches with him.
Definitely. Okay, just to clarify, I wasn't sort of saying that it was just the energy. I could imagine them having the same energy.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely lots of energy. There's always lots of energy from Leon. He's always amazing to be around, and just. Yeah, he's just he's a great laugh. Like I love Leon to death, and I'm so forever grateful for him as well. Just being so kind and just always like teaching and stuff like that, and yeah, he's always willing to part advice. He's just a great dude.
I think I'm sure somebody said once, for somebody who spends so much time in the air, he is incredibly grounded.
Yes, that's a great analogy. I don't know who said that, but that's really good. I like that.
That works. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like sort of saying, you don't ever want to be the next something. You don't ever want to be the next thing, the next Austin, the next John Cena. Let's say you want to be your own person. You want to be your own brand. Because you always. I think that's the problem. As much as I love, Eli Drake or LA Knight, You know, he's so obviously modelled himself on Austin and The Rock. Everything about him screams of like a combination of those two.
Yeah.
And the guy plays it. I can't see past that. I love the guy. You know, I think it's legit one of my favourite things in wrestling. He has been since like, you know, the dummy button, which I was talking to, you know, with the brand. But you can see, you know, everything about him is just screaming Austin or The Rock.
Yeah, it's so. I guess in this day and age, it's so hard as well because it's hard to find things that haven't been done. I mean, I go through. I kind of got this role model moniker that I kind of just created. But I mean, like Bailey, he calls herself a role model. I think I've seen Britt Baker use it as well. I'm kind of like, oh, you know, it is what it is. Like, it's just, but it's how you kind of use those characters as well. Like, I can still call myself the role model of British wrestling, and Bailey can call herself a role model. We're never going to collide. I'm sure Bailey's not worried about me. If we do, great. I'll love it. Like, I love Bailey to death. And if she ever wants to work or do anything, I'll be there. If she ever wants to go, hey, let's do something, great. I'm jumping on it. I don't think she's going to be too bothered. But it's finding those differences in the characters and kind of use it. Again, because I didn't even get given this role model character wasn't even something I kind of came up with myself in a sense. Like, it kind of got given to me. In the terms of story transition, when obviously RCW, EBW closed, PPW opened after COVID, and I was always wrestling as a face in EBW. And I was kind of like, oh, let's try and be a heel. I've never been a heel before. Let's try and work this. And I remember I was just cutting a promo at a PPW show, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, how can I be a bad guy? What can I say? Right, I thought, what should happen since COVID? I became a dad. And I was like, right, how can I use that? Right, there's no one. Okay, let's think. There's no one in wrestling for kids to look up to. And I used Leon. Unfortunately, as an example at the time because I met him and he was flipping. I was like, okay, that's not a good example. You're encouraging kids to flip and hurt themselves. So that was my kind of mindset. So let's use that. So because the idea is that I always say a good heel is they are kind of right, and they should in their eyes see themselves like they're doing the right thing. And I kind of got that advice from William Regal. And he put some up, and I was like, "That's great advice." I tried to look at that. Why do I think Leon's a bad influence on kids? He's not, but why do I think he is? Oh, well, he flips and stuff. Well, that's dangerous because kids are going to copy him and then break their necks. So to me that made sense. So and as a dad, I would go, I won't want my kid flipping and breaking his neck. And that was kind of my. So I kind of got that out, and I came out and cut this promo, literally off the cuff, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm here, and I'm going to give these kids. They don't have any role models in wrestling, but I just kind of said this stuff out, thought nothing of it, got some critique on it, never came up again. And then the same training show, Jack Maxwell came out and cut a promo, and we just had some matches, and he came out and he went, earlier today we had a role model win the match. And I went, and just someone went off, and I went, oh, I have something there. So then I just took it and ran, and I was kind of like, oh, so Jack Maxwell's really the kind of the creator of it all. Him saying those words, and I was kind of like, oh, I can have something here. So then I spoke to him, and it just kind of evolved. And the great thing about PPW is something we never got in EBW was character. It's just and having some creative freedom to just kind of go, what can you do with this? I was the Leon, like I like this role model character. What can I do? And he wouldn't say do this. He challenged you, and Liam always goes, okay, so this is what the role model is. So what would a role model do if he saw Joe Wade? What would he do? And he wouldn't tell me what to say. What do you think this character would do? Have a think about it, and then what would you say? Okay, great. That's how you react to that character. How does he react to this person? That Alan Kay comes in. What does the role model think of this person? And it was good to like get that. I've never had that before. And by then this was like 2021, 2022. I can't remember when PPW open. So I've been in the scene now for like 14 years at this time, and I've never had this character. I've always just been a wrestler. And I wish I had this so much earlier. Like I really wish I had all this at 16 years old.
It's just
and this way you see Axel the Clown's a great example. He never he wrestled at EBW and he was I want to say I don't know, it's not Axel Rose, but it was Axel something. He's gonna hate me for not remembering. But he just kind of had somewhat of a character that he wanted to do, but with EBW, it was very much got thrown into matches, and it was kind of it. And he didn't really have much. He did something. He had a tag team in the ring, so he tried to get something out of it. and enough to kind of get something going, but not enough. And obviously then PPW comes around, and this Axel the Clown gimmick comes in, and he's just I think he found something, and like I think it was maybe originally like a scary character. It's evolved into this comedy character, and not like he's got that perfect line where he's funny, but he's not so much he takes you out of it. And you go, oh, this is just silly now and stupid. He knows where that line is, and it's so natural to him as well. I remember being at a show with him, and I was thinking it was the ring announcer for the show, and he was doing the comedy stuff, and I just said afterwards, I said, none of it feels planned or anything like that when I watch you do some of these spots. It all seems like you're just doing it all off the cuff, but it works, and I don't know how you do it. And he's just like, oh, thanks, man. I'm like, no, think about it. Like, oh yeah, we planned this, or that. I'm like, it doesn't feel like you planned it though. It feels like everything's just off the cuff, and you're reacting to the crowd. I don't know how you do this so well, but
natural. It makes it seem natural.
It does, but that's just a blessing of PPW, and just having this, like having guys like Liam behind you, and to actually then challenge you and think of characters. We have a lot of great characters in PPW, but it's something none of us ever got. So I'm always like so grateful that I've now kind of got this gimmick going, and this role model character. It's building a bit of traction, but never had that before, and I really wish I did. Like I never got taught meanings behind moves or anything like that until I got to PPW. So far late in the scene that I would have been around. I wrestled shows and stuff, and I wrestled a couple of pro shows, but never anything like PPW. It felt like I was resetting almost, but I'm kind of glad that it eventually came around. And now I have my nephew started training at PPW in the juniors class, and I say to him like, "Oh man, you don't realize like how amazing this is." And I say to him, my first lesson was in a garage. You have this. And not only do you have this, you have Liam Slater training you. And this guy's wrestled Cody Rhodes. He's been on these scenes. He's wrestled. Do you realize how blessed you are? Take advantage of this, man. Do not give up. Like, keep going, because this will be. You can be incredible. You could be amazing at this. I let him know all the time. Like, just keep going. Like, I think he's 13. I'm like, come 16. If you keep this until you're 16 years old, you'll be incredible. You'll be just listen to everything you've done. And my nephew loves Leon as well. He went to a show and he saw Leon wrestle for the first time, and then like a crazy lad of mine. He's like, Leon's one of my favorite wrestlers. And I always go like, oh well, come to training, and he comes to watch the shows sometimes, the house shows. Maybe you'll meet Leon. Leon's sometimes there, and he hasn't yet met him. Even though I said to him one fight, I said go and introduce yourself to him at a show, and he didn't want to. I was like, no, I'll go say hi. And I go to my old friend, hey Leon, and we're giving hands and hugs and all that. And his nephew's like, what? But yeah, like PPW is just an amazing place, and I'm sure every other person you had on this has said the exact same thing. But it's just so good to be there, and seeing it expand is an amazing thing. Seeing guys like Kemper is one of my favorites now to come out the EBW scene. I love Kemper to death. He's don't know how he's to everyone else, but he's a really, really nice guy to me. I think he's amazing. I always kind of joke that me and him always kind of joke, more me than him. He probably bugs him that we're in a tag team. And I always joke that we are a tag team together. And we're called the AFU, which is the Absolute Fucking Units, is our tag team name.
Yes.
But I always joke like he's doing stuff and he'll win matches and he's winning championships. And I was like, yeah, man, represent the team. And then like, he's like, what you doing? I'm just doing another debut challenge. Don't worry about it.
Love it. Yeah, a few as well. That's amazing. I want to quickly rewind because a couple of names were mentioned. We kind of kept it, but I just want to mentioned Adam Bolt. Obviously, by the sounds of it, obviously when the EBW kind of went, obviously it kind of split. Some people went to Sheffield, and a couple of people, some people went down to Nottingham, which was a massive plus for me. I'm a Nottingham boy, so I'm always going to shout them out. But yeah, Adam Bolt is one of my favourite guys on the scene at the minute. That guy is legitimately amazing. I've seen him at True Grit a few times. Obviously, he's the he's the Pride champion at True Grit. He's got belts elsewhere as well. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out the awesomeness of Adam Bolt because he's amazing. So. Yeah. But yeah, PPW dude, again, you know me, you know how many people I have had on this show, and everybody says the same sort of thing. I love the fact it just seems like you're this one big ass freaky family, and you're there. Again, you mentioned Axel. That dude is. I think it's clicked at last. The pennies dropped. People are starting to take notice. I saw him and Jim. Win the title tag championships at a tag show. They made history. Jim is the oldest tag team champion in the country ever, I believe. Maybe I want to say. And I'm hearing things about what may be coming on down the line. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be mind blowing. These guys could be a focal point of a promotion. There's these things going on, and obviously, Axel it was at True Grit as well in York this month. It was Axel Matthews. He's Axel, and you can be too. It's just, I think people are finally sort of realizing what he brings to the show, what the Freak Show brings, not just Axel. The whole unit as well. You mentioned having a character. You kind of got this basis to make matches around, to have a story with. If you've got a character, you've got an origin, you've got mold, you've got something. You can be like, why would I do this? Am I doing this right? Is this something that my character would do? It just gives you more to get deep into, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think it's something people get taught when they first started and seen. And I mean, it's these days. I mean, WWE, when you go there, they pretty much just give you a character and you kind of have to run with it and figure it out. Not probably so much anymore, but when the big man was in charge, you get given a dancer gimmick, you go Fandango. What are you going to do? You'd have to figure it out.
That's what you're going to do. You beat Jericho on your debut. Jericho failed the debut challenge.
Yes, I was at that show as well. I was at WrestleMania 29. I was in the crowd, and I saw that day. That was Fandango's debut. I was there. It was incredible.
Having a character, mate, it must just be so much. Like I say, it just gives you something to get your teeth into. Instead of just going through the motions, having a match, it must help the psychology. Like you sort of said, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this move? What would my character do if this happened? I love that shit. I love the fact that so many more characters in wrestling now than there was like 10 years ago. It's not just people being themselves kind of thing. There's characters there now. There's storylines, there's emotion.
100%. Yeah. Again, characters. We're just known for our characters. We have so many of them. But it's people taking that ball and running with it, and I think people realize they have to stand out. And you can be amazingly talented wrestler, of course, and you can go in and you have great matches. But sometimes you don't need to do that. If you can find the right character, you can do little and still make it worth more. And I always find myself now. I used to feel like I wrestled kind of a high flying style when I was in EBW, and I'll come to PPW now. I don't wrestle that much of a risky style anymore. I don't jump off the top rope as much as I probably used to, and I used to do dives and stuff like that. And I realized, well, I don't need to do that, as my character probably wouldn't do that. I can still probably do it if I need to, and then if the calls for it, I might do what I do. But genuinely, I don't need to worry about that so much. Some guys do, and it works. I'm not saying don't do dives, of course, but it's making it mean something and trying to make us do it. And you'll notice the guys who do flips now. The big guys who do the pro guys who do flips, they do it and it works. It makes sense in almost kind of thing. It's weird, but guys like Ricochet and Will Ospreay, the people call them the flippy guys. But no, to me, it makes sense why Will does that kind of stuff. And I don't do them, and some guys don't do them because you don't need to. But it's finding the right placement for them. And for any move, I'm not saying flips, but for any move, basically, it's got to make sense and it's got to work. But having a character just means doing it right, and we have so many great characters. I can't go on enough about PPW and just how many characters we have. We're just so known for it. It's crazy. I think if you lined us all up, here's what we would all like. Different. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? And we have. What are you doing? What's your story?
I've seen after the show photos that you all take after like the sessions or the seminars or things like that, and it's just there's like 30 of you. And everybody's different. Everybody's unique. You kind of got Matt there with his mask and his bat. You got freaking Liam with his back. And then, you got Axel. You've got Matthias. Even Kemper. I love those photos. I could literally just sit there and I just kind of like, yeah. I just love seeing the differences. It's just you got Radu at the back as well, just being all scary, being like, nah.
He's never changed. He's always been like that. If anyone's never had a character, anyone's not character change, I think it's Radu. I think he's the one guy who came in and was like, I have a character and I've been doing this for a while. I was like, no notes, keep doing it.
But no, I love it, dude. And also just to, you mentioned about, the role model, every bad guy has a justification for why they're doing it. It's just very warped kind of thing. Yes, that's the perfect analogy for the best villains. Obviously, I'm a massive comic book nerd. I'm a massive movie geek. Yeah. So your Magnetos, your Thanoses, guys like that. What they were saying was right, and kind of like, what they're doing, like the whole Magneto thing. He doesn't, he lived through like this thing, and he doesn't want it to happen again. So he wants to take, affirmative action. But it's like, no, mate, you got about it wrong. What you're saying is right. What you're doing, you just got about it the wrong way, and that's what makes a great bad guy. And if you keep wrestling, mate, it's.
Exactly. The villains got to make the hit. Like I said, I think recently someone said was Killmonger in the Black Panther movie, and I think people said, he was right the whole time, and they said, look, quick, have him choke an old lady to make people hate him because everything was saying was right, and I think the old lady always would agree with us. Like you see, like he's right, but he's a bad guy. How can we make him look like a bad guy? Oh, he chokes an old lady almost to death. It's kind of like, oh, cool, we're fine then. That's how they seem to be writing villains.
That's exactly. You're just like, no, that's not it. But I've just rewatched the old X-Men films recently, and McKellen as Magneto, or even Fassbender. They both nail it perfectly. You're just like, oh my, geez, seriously.
We can go for another hour talking about comic book movies. We can be like, what?
Dude, we'll save that for another part at some point then, because that's going to be. I'm going to do, I think at some point down the line, myself and Graham Pierce were talking about wrestling and films and crossovers and stuff like that. So I do want to, I've been resisting doing like a film kind of spin off, but at some point it's going to have to happen, I think. So, just talking films and wrestling and stuff like that. So, I will, I'll keep you penciled in for a future appearance if we talk about anything like that.
You count me in, buddy, I'm set.
Nice. But yeah, dude, I've just clocked the time. Shit, man. Sorry, I thought I was I'd be for about an hour. We're clocked at about 1:15. Dude, I've not even actually gone through the normal stuff, shows you've been on recently, stuff you want to do in the future. If you're up for it, mate, I'd love to do an episode 2, and we'll kind of.
We gladly do a part 2. I can talk forever. This is, that's why I had the microphone a lot at the shows, because I can talk. So definitely, I would gladly do a part 2. I'd be well up for that.
Awesome. And the thing that suits me perfectly. The less I have to talk, the happier I am. And sometimes, if I talk too much, I get too excited, and then I'm just like, rah! So I'm like, right, keep yourself cool. I quite like just listening. It's like, yeah, there we go. So we'll count this as the origin story of the series.
Yeah.
But
Nate Daniels' origins.
Dude, and now I know about the DDC. I know about the AFU. It's all good. It's just so much good stuff there. But yeah, dude, let people know. Obviously, that's another thing. The socials. I know you. I've got you hit up on the social stuff, but it's not as Nate Daniels. Obviously, it's as the real you kind of thing.
Yeah, I do my personal page. I definitely do have a fan page. If anyone wants to, so I guess I'll quickly plug. On Facebook, just search Nate Daniels. I'll show up. And Instagram, I'm at Nate Daniels RM. I'm obviously my role model. I have a Twitter, but to be honest with you, I'm not really active on it. I don't even know what my Twitter handle is. I go on there every now and then, but Twitter's cesspool. I just can't stand it. But yeah, Instagram, it's probably where I'm most active. I'm not very active on the Facebook page at the moment. I should be, but I'm not. Instagram is where to find me. I post a lot of wrestling stuff there. I post some personal stuff there, but not a lot, because I keep my kids and everything off that Instagram, because it's a public page. But if you go to Nate Daniels, don't add my personal page, but go to Nate Daniels on Facebook if you want, and like that, and I'll try and get more active on there as well. Yeah, that's the main thing. I've just recently posted about a new T-shirt. I don't know if anyone can see. If you want to register any interest, feel free to drop me a message, and if there's enough interest, I'll start getting it made. I didn't shout out to Fast Count for just making this off the cuff for me, just out of the blue. Really awesome, guys. Thank you for that. Yeah, so that's kind of it. So at Nate Daniels on Facebook, at Nate Daniels on RM, and at Nate Daniels RM on Instagram. And just go follow that.
Obviously, our Insta guy Ash will tag you on the Insta post anyway. So, if you're not following the role model, please do. Dude's here to set an example. He will make your life better, and he will make.
I'll give you someone. You'll have someone to finally look up to. There you go.
You'll get neck ache from all that looking up. But no, dude, thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
Loved it. And obviously everybody else, thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the generic stuff I ask you to do every episode. I think this is pretty much it. I have nothing else planned for the rest of the year, unless Bobby Cash and DJ King hit me up and tell me they want to watch some WCW 2000s, or Mr. Bulak says he wants to educate me in the ways of deathmatch wrestling a bit more. It may happen. Maybe one or two more coming before the end of the year. If there's not, and this is the last video you watch of this year, thank you for everything. Thank you for the videos you've watched this year. If you've watched more than one, amazing. Thank you. Thank you for your showing support. Have an awesome Christmas. And yeah, see you again very, very soon. So thank you for watching. And remember, always work the left side.